welcome back to the Forgotten Files with Minali. So today I come to you guys with an unsolved case from Milan, Italy, and this will be the case of Simonetta Ferrero. Simonetta, on July 24th, 1971, unfortunately was murdered and her case was never solved. So on July 24th, Simonetta was so excited because her family had planned a trip to Corsica and France, I believe, and she was so excited. She decided, hey, I'm just going to run some errands. And then she told her family, hey guys, I will be back at 1 o'clock for lunch with you guys. No worries, I could get all my errands done. So that's what she does. She goes out, and apparently she goes to like a bookstore so she can buy a French Italian dictionary, for translation. And then she goes to like a store to buy perfume and all of that. So this happens at 10:30, and by 11:30 apparently she left the store, and she decides to stop by her alma mater, which was the university. I think it was like a Catholic University of Sacred Heart, I believe it was called. And apparently it's a very prestigious university, and she had just graduated a few years ago, and she stops by there. But the thing is, a lot of people don't know why she went there to begin with. So there's different conflicting like stories. Some people are saying that she went there to make photocopies for a friend, or she went to like the library to like get a book, or she went to get a leaflet of some kind. And some people are saying she just went to use the bathroom. Now, none of these theories have ever been actually verified, or like no one really knows why she went, because also apparently the photocopies that everyone's saying that she went to do apparently were already in her room, so she'd already done that. So that could probably be crossed off the list. But yeah, so Simonetta goes there, and when the clock comes around, so her family's all there for lunch. They're, getting ready to eat. And they're like, where's Simonetta? Like, she said she'd be back. And they're like really irritated, right? Because it's like, oh, she could at least have called if she's going to be late. So they're irritated with her. But by 4 o'clock that day, they were worried. They were no longer irritated. They knew, okay, something's going on, because there's no way she wouldn't be back by now and that she wouldn't like say something to us. Like, just to tell us, hey guys, I'm going to be late because whatever came up. So they go and report her missing. Now, sadly, on July 26th, which is like 2 days later, this seminarian named Mario, he is walking through the hallway of Sacred Heart University, and he hears the water running in the bathroom. And he's thinking, man, who's just leaving the water running? Like, you guys are wasting water. I can't believe this. Like, he was very like upset about it. So he's like, I'm gonna go turn it off. I don't care if it's the girls' bathroom. So he says he goes up to the door, and he goes to turn the door handle, and he says he remembers it being like very sticky. And then he opens the door, and when he opens the door, he's hit with like this really putrid smell. And that's when he sees Simonetta's body on the floor, and there's blood everywhere. Like, everywhere. People said that there was a pool of blood, there was blood on the walls, there was blood in the sink. Like, it was just a bloodbath. And he runs and calls the authorities. Authorities get there, and it's just a horrible scene. And they have her identified, but apparently it said that her immediate family couldn't even be the ones to identify her body, because they were in such shock. Like, they couldn't even like bring themselves to do it, so they had to have like a close family friend or something identify her body for them, which, wow, that really that breaks my heart for them. And so July 28th, they do the autopsy on her body, and she was stabbed. So, okay, so some reports say she was stabbed like 33 times. Some people say it was 21. Some people say it was 42 times. But the conclusion is she was stabbed so many times. And apparently 7 of those stab wounds were fatal. And the autopsy also revealed that Simonetta really fought for her life. Like, she was not going down without a fight. So apparently, she had so many defensive wounds. Like, she had a lot of defensive wounds. And they said it also looked like she tried to grab the knife with her hands because of how the wounds were on her hands. Like, she tried to just grab the blade to defend herself. And she actually had skin under her fingernail, so she like scratched the person who was attacking her, so she did not go down without a fight. And sadly, I mean, if this had been now, having that skin under her fingernails, DNA, like, that would have helped so much. But in 1971 they weren't there with DNA, like that wasn't a thing. So that's what they find for her. And now the cops are like, okay, we need to figure out who had a motive to kill this girl, because people said she was just a very smart girl and very driven, and she was very studious when she was in school, and she was a very serious girl, and she didn't really date. Like, people said she had little, they called it little flirts. So I'm assuming like she had like little, like, not so serious kind of relationships. But they said she never had like a serious relationship. So there wouldn't be like a disgruntled ex, someone who's upset with her for breaking up with him or anything like that. So the police like, okay, so maybe someone's upset with her for work, right? Because she worked with her father. And they're like, maybe it's an employee, someone who's like mad at her for something. But apparently no one had issues with her. People liked her. She was a nice girl. So they were like, okay, so if it's not a disgruntled ex, it's not an old employee, maybe we should really be looking at, people from the school. Because apparently people, like, they were saying in the articles that the school, if you don't know your way around the school, you will get lost. Like, it's almost like a maze, right? So you have to be kind of acquainted with the school. Like, you have to kind of know it. And they actually turned on Mario for a little bit, right? Because apparently he's the one who found her body. So apparently after he found her body and called the authorities, he left. Like, he left for like 2 or 3 days to go home, and to them that was suspicious. But then he came back, to answer questions, and they noticed like he had no wounds on him. Like, he had, because the way that Simonetta fought for her life, there was no way that the attacker got out unscathed. Like, he had to have had some type of scratches, marks on him, something, because she fought so hard. So they realized, yeah, it's not Mario. So they're like, okay, so we need to look closer at other people. So they looked at, apparently, also, while Simonetta was at Sacred Heart that day, there had been construction going on, which is what they're saying might have drowned out any screams or anything that may have happened, and no one heard anything, partly because there was construction going on and there were 4 construction workers. So like, okay, let's investigate these guys. And they were cleared. Like, they had nothing to do with it. They were actually just working and doing their job. So the police is like, okay, who else could be, like, what's even the motive? So apparently there was this man at the time who was going around on near the school on the trains with like a knife and threatening people. They're like, okay, so this might be the guy, because he was around the school and he had a knife and she was stabbed. Maybe it's this guy. So they go in, they investigate, they search his home, and they find a journal where he's just writing how much he hates women and he wants to kill them and all of these things. And they're like, okay, like, maybe this is it. But then he's sent to a mental institution, and they were like, no, it's not him. So I'm not even sure why he was exactly cleared. I don't know if it's because he went to a mental institution and that's the reason he was cleared. Like, I'm not even positive. Like, they didn't really, none of the articles that I read really elaborated. And the thing is, a lot of the articles were in Italian. So I had to really find what I could find that people translated, or like Google Translate things. And so there are some things that might have been lost in translation, but it wasn't really elaborated as to why he was cleared. Simonetta from what they could see, was not sexually assaulted, and none of her jewelry was taken, none of her money was taken, so it wasn't sexually motivated. It wasn't a robbery. So people are really not sure why she was murdered the way that she was. Police, come to a dead end. They're like, we really, really don't know who did this. But then in 1994, they get like a letter from someone that was at the school, who used to go to the school, and said, this priest, like this former priest, was kicked out of the school because he used to sexually harass students. And they were like, oh my gosh, maybe this is it. And then they clear him. But again, now elaborate as to why he was cleared, but then he was cleared as well. So we're here in 2022 now, and there's no leads. Like, no one knows why she was murdered. No one knows who did it. There's nothing. And I mean, there's DNA technically, but I don't even know if they kept the DNA. See, that's also not said. Like, I mean, I'm assuming in 1971 they didn't really think of stuff like that. So I don't know if even exhuming her body and seeing if they can get the fingernail, like get the skin under the fingernails, like, we don't know if she was, like, we don't know. I feel like the DNA would definitely help a lot, but I don't know if that DNA would even be viable now. So I don't know. This case is so sad. This girl, she didn't do anything to anyone. She was just, most likely, I mean, I personally think she was just using the bathroom. I mean, if your school's nearby and you need to go, I guess you would just go because you know the school, you know how to get to the bathroom, you can just walk in, and there's not a lot of people because it's July, it's the summer. There's not going to be a line in the bathroom compared to if you go to like a mall or something, right? So I could see that. But yeah, that's the case of Simonetta Ferrero. It's still unsolved, and it just makes me sad that her family never got closure. And it's not looking like it's coming anytime soon either. Unless they maybe exhume her body and see if that DNA is still there, if it's still viable, if they can see. But I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're going that route right now. But yeah. Let me know what you guys think about this case. This case is so sad. Especially, like, it's so up in the air onto what happened to her and why. Because it didn't seem like she had anyone who hated her. It might have been just the wrong place at the wrong time kind of thing. Who knows? Let me know if there's any unsolved cases that you guys want me to cover in the comments section. I appreciate you guys watching. Please stay safe out there, and I'll see you guys in the next video.